Hi, I'm Carol Jurgensen Sheets, aka Carol the Coach, and I was going to talk to you about something that is so very common between sex addicts and partners. You know, one of the most difficult things in helping a partner heal is teaching them how to manage their triggers. Now, you may know that a trigger is something that occurs that hijacks the brain. And literally, it hijacks the amygdala in the back of the brain and affects the frontal cortex, which is the executive functioning. That is the thing that helps you decide what do you need to do to make your life better. What do you need to do to feel safe? What is the best choice for you if you are experiencing emotional dysregulation, if you're experiencing tremors, heart palpitations, fear, agitation, anxiety, nervousness, worry? What do you do? Well, I teach partners how to manage that themselves, but in my work with coupleships, I ask the sex addict to help create some trigger busters too. And this is what I know to be true, that if you are a partner and you're trying to work it out with the sex addict, then there are things that he can do, but you have to be open to them. You've heard me talk about it before. The first and foremost experience is that you have to feel safe. And when your partner, the sex addict, helps you to feel safe when you're triggered, it can go a long way to building trust in the relationship. Now, triggers are very common, but they're all different types of triggers. I mean, it may be that you are triggered because of a date, because of a song, because of a color, because of a feeling internally. There are these external triggers that have to do with what's out there that's triggering me. I hear my husband's iPad go off, and I think about the time that I actually saw a text come on the iPad that suggested a rendezvous. That's external. Then internally, if I wake up feeling nauseous, or for whatever reason my heart is racing, that will remind me of the time of discovery or the time that I had some confusion about what was going on in our relationship. So you have external triggers and you have internal triggers. And to be honest, sometimes you can identify where they're coming from. And then other times, you can't. You know, you didn't know that going to that restaurant with a bright yellow room triggered you because you were in your bright yellow kitchen when you found out that your spouse was cheating. So you can see some of the triggers are unconscious, but they store in that amygdala. And then some of them are very conscious, and you know the date's coming up when you found out about the infidelity, or you found out about the prostitutes, or you found out about the exhibitionism, whatever it is. So now, if you have a spouse and you want him to help you with these triggers, get him to listen to this video. Or if you're a sex addict and you want to help your partner, you know the wrong that you've caused, and you say, okay, it's time for me to be proactive and do whatever I can to make her feel safe and stable. And again, I'm referencing male-female like that, but I do know that some partners are male and they experience the same trauma. So if you're ready to work on the coupleship and work on these triggers, I got a formula that my colleague, Dorit Reichenthal, shared with me. And she did a little collaboration with Doug Weiss and Imago Therapist, And she came up with this incredible relational CPR to actually provide 4 steps to co-regulating triggers. And here's what they are. What we know is when a partner is triggered, their left brain goes offline and their right brain takes over. And the partner falls down the rabbit hole. And by rabbit hole, I mean that the partner spirals down into dysregulation. Excuse me here. Come on, Boo. So when that occurs, here's what has to happen. The addict has to guide his spouse and back into what we call the window of tolerance. Not the high dysregulation where somebody's freaking out, and not the low dysregulation where people are numb and they avoid and they're depressed and they can't get out of bed. They have to be within that window of tolerance. So, step 1 is identifying, if you can, what the trigger is. And that means that the spouse has to actually say, honey, I can see that you're triggered. I want to check that out with you. Are you triggered? Okay, so the addict has identified that he believes there's a trigger. Maybe she's gritting her teeth. Maybe her jaws are clenched. Maybe he can see her heart is racing. So he calls it like he sees it. Honey, I believe you're triggered. Are you triggered? That's step 1. And no matter what she says, it's important for the addict not to defend, not to explain, not to minimize, but to calmly listen and contain the partner's trigger. And then to validate the partner. And that might look like, I can see how scared you are right now. And it must remind you of a previous time. And it makes sense to me that you feel triggered or scared or angry, even if I don't know why. I know I caused this, and now you're reliving that moment. Okay, that's identifying the trigger. The second part is to orient her to here and now, or orient the partner to here and now. And what that means is that the partner gently reminds, the addict gently reminds the partner that she is safe and nothing is happening right now, that a trigger has occurred, maybe for an external reason, maybe for an internal reason, but it just has occurred and that she is absolutely safe. And he might say something like, I'm not doing anything now to put you in risk of danger, and I am sitting here with you as I watch you go through these emotions. I'm not acting out now. You are safe. I'm right here with you. And then, if the relationship can tolerate it, he says, I have your back. Now, most of the partners I work with in that second or third phase of partner safety and stabilization, they actually do want to hear that their addict, their spouse, has their back. But if you're not in good recovery, the last thing you want to tell her is you have her back, because if you don't have your own recovery in check, you don't have her back. Okay, now the third thing is called de-escalation. It helps to put the partner in safety and stabilization mode. And this is where you use your trigger busters. You've already identified the trigger. You've already oriented her to here and now. And next you say, you know, what do I need to do to help you right now? What do you need from me? And what you're doing is asking your loved one what you can do to help unhijack the brain, if you will. So, this can be tough for the partner to figure out. Maybe she just needs him to hold her. Maybe she needs some space. Maybe she needs to go for a walk. Maybe she needs to be with her son, her daughter, her animal. When he says, I can see you're having a really bad trigger right now, and you're safe, and I want to know how I can help you, there's something self-soothing about that. And if you're working with somebody, if you're a clinician watching this video and you don't think that the partner is at a place where she can hear that, then just stay with step 1 and step 2. But it's so important to teach addicts how to empathetically attune to his spouse and to ask, what does she need? So that's step 3, to de-escalate and to ask for a needs assessment, so to speak. The 4th step is social engagement. And that means, that the two of them need to decide, what does she actually need to feel better? And then to figure out what they can do together to make that happen. And that is important because what the two of you want to do as a team is to diffuse the trigger. And you're both on this team together. Triggers are unconscious or conscious manifestations of the trauma that the partner has been through. And so much of my work with addicts is to teach them how to develop empathy. And so stay tuned for more empathy-building exercises. I know if you're watching this video, you want to help and you want to right the wrong and you want to undo some of the damage. And you can't undo it, but you can work together to build a strong unit that can survive this trauma and move forward, both in recovery and in healing and in the relationship. That's my promise to you. So I will talk to you later about triggers and empathy. And I appreciate you listening to this video, because what I know to be true is that if you're watching this, you want to help. And if you want to help, that's a great prognosis for your relationship making it through this trauma and growing stronger. Have a great week.